part of the Earglue Media family of podcasts.
You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cantina Cast. This is episode 285. Will they or won't they? The Ahsoka movie. And yes, your ears are perfectly normal and fine. It is I, your ghost from the past, Mike, coming back to host this episode because Albert Padilla is decided to leave. No, I'm only kidding. Albert's on a short break. He had some personal stuff to tend to, so I jumped in the seat. And of course, Jonesy just joining me. Jonesy, what's up? How you doing? You almost hosted this by yourself because I had a little incident myself this week. But how are you doing, buddy?
I tell you what, man, when you posted the pictures of you falling off your boost board or skateboard or whatever you crazy kids call it, I was like, man, what else could go wrong this week? Because things have just been piling up. So it was, but hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm happy to be here with you. It's been a long time since we've done one, just the two of us.
It seems like it's almost been a year, but it has not been a year. But it's good to get back in the seat here and chit chat with you. This is going to be a kind of a different episode. We're going to try something new with that segment. Will they or won't they? That I'll explain that to when we get to there and all that jazz. So this will be like a fun summer episode. It is summer. We should relax unless you're me on a boosted board and you get distracted and hit a tree root and fall off of it and, almost kill yourself. But,
Jesus,
I'm alive. That's all that matters. I didn't, and you know what the best part is? I didn't damage my pretty face. So all is good. Poor Albert. I feel bad jumping in his seat here. I know he'd love to be here, but that whole episode you and he did on our Patreon thing about Porkins and Biggs and the Speedos and everything must have got too hot for him. So he decided not to join.
I tell you
us
what,
tonight.
It lit a fire and an excitement in him that I have not seen in a while, and he could not get out of here fast enough to see if this place really existed. So if you're curious what we're talking about, go over to patreon.com/thecantinacast. It only costs a buck or whatever you'd like to contribute. And you can hear Albert and I talk about an Age of Rebellion comic with Biggs, Porkins, and a vacation planet in their Speedos and wife beaters.
I will say, getting the artwork ready for that little thing on Patreon that you guys did. And I know you guys hinted at something with the artwork, right? So I didn't believe that the artwork was that bad until I went and hunted down an image to use for the thing. And I'm like, this is not real.
Is this real?
This is not real. This is like my daughter or myself have drawn this thing. And this is not real.
It wasn't that bad. Come on.
No, it was bad. It was bad.
Come on.
It was. Now listen, every time I want to get into the comics, you guys have been doing the comic thing and I'm like, all right, every night I edit the show. I'm like, I want to get into it. I'm going to get into it. All right. I'm going to jump in. And then this happens. And then I'm like, nope, I'm not jumping. I'm not putting the toe in the pool now. I'm not doing it. But anyway, definitely go check that out. It is a humorous episode that you guys did. So you guys should go join the Patreon, check that out. And it's funny. But anyway, we got some news that I wasn't expecting happening at all. And the news that I didn't expect really. And that is the Sith Trooper at San Diego Comic-Con. That all dropped earlier in the week. I think it was Tuesday it happened. I'm not really sure when it happened.
Right.
I don't know. I'm curious what your thoughts are because I'm sure you know what my thoughts are.
Right.
Because me, I hate everything these days, apparently. But go ahead. So I'm curious what you... Yeah.
Couple things. So, this might have some light spoilers, but this has all been released through StarWars.com. So from our perspective, it's not spoilers. This is all anticipation of San Diego Comic-Con, which is... We're recording this on July 13th, and Comic-Con is next weekend for us. And this is part of this 9 generations of basically stormtroopers or variations of troopers. And they're going to have an exhibit at San Diego Comic-Con, which is really cool. But the highlight is this Sith Trooper, which is, again, it's a sequel trilogy trooper. We're going to see this in Rise of Skywalker, apparently. And the design of it...
2 seconds in the background.
Maybe so.
Yeah, that'll be...
But yeah. I like the design, man. It's completely red, kind of like Von Reg's outfit in Resistance. But it's more modern, very angular. It has a lot of angular pieces to it. The thing I like the most about it, though, is if you remember the patrol trooper from Solo, like the under the body glove part of it had like more of this ribbed type of look to it. And it looks like they've got something similar under this. I mean, it sounds weird to say that, but it's just this cool textured look under the armor. And I think it looks really great. It's got kind of molded pieces on the armor, and he's got a really wicked kind of sword blade that extends down his forearm or something like that. I'm saying he, like it's a him, but you get my meaning. And overall, I like it. The words Sith Trooper, though, are probably the part you're going to have an issue with because, of course, Kylo was like Sith Jedi who care, right? So
forget them.
Right.
And
so
of course,
what's going on with this,
Mike? Then there's a homage. It's basically I'm blaming Albert here because Albert's not here, so I'm going to blame him anyway. Anything with the Old Republic, SWTOR, if you will, gets mentioned. Of course, they had the Sith Trooper in that as well, and of course, he had to poke fun of me and post that in Discord because that's what Albert does.
And you know what? He is pumping his fist right now, knowing that you brought it up.
You are talking about on
your own accord. You did it.
Yeah, I know. I can see him smiling right now. But Albert, that I will bleep this out if I have to. But anyway, so I'm hung up with the Sith Trooper thing. Now, the look itself is pretty cool. We'll get into the name and all that stuff in a second. The look is cool. I like the callback of basically the clone trooper thing with the slit in the middle. But the sequel trilogy, Stormtroopers, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I like 1 minute I like it, the next I don't like it. I like that it's red, but then again, I'm thinking to myself, can we come up with another color or something? I don't know. I think in one aspect, I feel like it's lazy. Like I feel like we're just rehashing the red color, more Stormtroopers looking the same as just a different color. All right, that's cool. I get that, but like when I saw Return of the Jedi, I thought it was cool. Like the biker scouts were completely different than the Stormtroopers, and the Imperial Guards were completely different than them. And it was like, oh, all right, cool. There's like 3 different versions here. Like it's completely different. Now here, it's everything feels the same, just a different color and slight variation in the helmet, so to speak. And then you get the Praetorian Guards, which I don't know what happened. Well, I mean, they were all eliminated basically. So who knows what's that? And then you get the Knights of Ren. So there's a lot of things going on here. And then it goes back to the name itself is where I think I have the biggest issue because it goes back to what Kylo was saying. Of course, he was lying in my point of view. He was lying about a lot of things to like Rey and to all this other stuff, just trying to get her to come over, lure her over. So, that whole let the Jedi die, let the Sith die. So I don't know, where does this fit in with Kylo? Is Kylo a Sith now? Are these Sith guys going out and killing Sith people, which would kind of crap all over what Anakin was with the Chosen One, eliminating the Sith? So there's a lot going on just with the simple name Sith Trooper, that which is fascinating. And now we have something to yap about, right? So I guess it's a good thing, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on the name itself anyway?
Right. And then Matt Martin posted out on Twitter that, maybe it feeds right into the title and it feeds right into the story that we're going to get to where it makes sense. Because I think some people were pretty critical online about it too. I mean, that's a shocker, right?
But, no. Me included, of course.
Right. But, it's one of these things that we still have to wait for the story to come out. But I can understand some of the criticism of not, and especially with the red color, because now we had Von Reg, we've had Cardinal in the book, right? And was that Phasma? And maybe some other stuff coming.
We had the Golden Trooper there. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've got Pyre, who's gold. Again, why does it have to be a trooper? Why can't it be something else? We had the Praetorian Guard, which I thought was really great.
Different.
That was a nice callback to the Emperor's Royal Guard. And you have something to work with there. So why not keep going down that angle? Unless, you start to have this faction type of thing starting to form within the First Order. So maybe,
which is possible.
Yeah. Maybe we have that, or maybe this is along the lines of the 501st, right? This is Kylo's elite guard. I mean, you could start to pull those parallels. And of course we could hear the arguments now. That's not really overly creative or overly original, but it still work. It can still work though. Right.
Yeah. Are they replacing the Praetorian Guards? And these are what he called them, the Sith Troopers or whatever they may be. Yeah.
You could see from a more practical purpose, right? So we've always equated the Emperor's Guard and the Praetorian to Snoke in more of this supreme leader type of position. We all kind of agree that Kylo is not really what you would envision as a supreme leader, right?
No, he's more like Anakin as the field general.
Exactly.
The guy that goes in and gets things done.
Exactly. Yeah. So the field general is much more practical. And that's how I view these is like, if this is his elite guard, if this is his 501st, then that makes a lot more sense, right? Because you need them to be more tactical. You need them to be more mobile. So why not conscript certain elite characters within the trooper ranks and do that. We know that they've got a really great program for the First Order, so it would make sense that there would be more of an elite type of status within that trooper guard too.
True. I think what hurts, and maybe we'll get this at San Diego Comic-Con, so whatever we've said previously, maybe that's all irrelevant because maybe there's a blurb in one of the packaging with the Hasbro or with Hot Toys or whoever it may be, or even on the panel if they have a panel. I think they got a panel at San Diego Comic-Con. Something's going on anyway.
Yeah, the panels are a little light, but go ahead. They're light. So maybe something comes up like on a card back that gives a description of what they are. Kind of similar, if I remember right, when we had The Last Jedi and the Praetorian Guards were mentioned, we kind of got a backstory on that a little bit. So it wasn't, a complete mystery. Here, we didn't get anything. We just got images. And of course, the internet, us, me, we all lose our minds and we kind of like throw rocks and whatever else at the screen and everything. So the two we might get that from are going to be the Sideshow toys, the Hot Toys figures, which I got to be honest, I might think really hard about getting that one because I really do think that looks really cool. And then the other one would be the Black Series, Hasbro Black Series. The two I would expect to see if we were to get some sort of blurb. It seems like it would be along those two lines, right? That's
what I mean. And maybe they were just saving it for that, which I think would be nice. I hate all this secrecy. With some things like this, you could kind of, all right, just give us something where we're not losing our minds on what everything is. But again, this is what we do, right? This is Star Wars fans.
They're still just
this
troopers,
is what we do,
right?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, and I saw this, and I don't know how true it is because I found it on Reddit, but Reddit's usually pretty good with the Star Wars spoilers and leaks and stuff. They had melee weapons as well. Yeah. Not just the blaster. So that's interesting. I'm surprised. Now, what I thought would have been cool if they had lightsabers like the Ralph McQuarrie old concept art. Now, that would have been interesting if they had done that. But they got blades that look similar to the Knights of Ren. So how does even that work with the Knights of Ren and these guys? How's this all going to go, Jonesy? That's the big mystery, right?
Yeah, they've got to find a way to delineate between the two and see how they fit. And yeah, it just adds more questions to the Knights of Ren, like how attached to Kylo are they?
Fit? Yeah, it's almost like, are these guys going out and killing the Knights of Ren? Maybe. Who knows? It seems like everything, most of our audience knows that Albert and I read the spoilers and everything else. It feels like everything but the kitchen sink is being thrown into this movie. But that's all rumors and speculation. So who knows how true it is. But anyway, we shall move on from the Sith Troopers. Hopefully, when you and Albert get back together next week, there's more information and you guys can run with that. So let's get on to Jon Favreau. Yeah, thank you. You know me with the names, ladies and gentlemen. But apparently, you had a bit of an issue with what he said on Jimmy Kimmel. Well, you didn't have an issue with him. With Star Wars fans in general, just kind of losing their mind and taking what he said a little bit liberal, I guess you could say, with what he said. But he's writing season 2, right? So season 1's done.
We take a lot of creative liberties when we report the news these days, it seems.
Well,
some of the headlines we've seen are pre-production or doing special effects shots or these other things, but he was on Jimmy Kimmel Live, really promoting The Lion King, which had a premiere just recently, even though the movie doesn't come out for another week or so. And at the very end of that interview, of course, they brought up, and it's the flag, The Mandalorian is going to be the flagship for Disney Plus and all of that. And season 1 is done, of course, and he's already started writing season 2. But some of the news headlines took a little bit of liberty with that. It's pre-production, so there's a number of things you can throw into pre-production that help. And, planning and all these other things besides writing are definitely plausible, but really all he said was writing. But still, that's exciting though, right? That means we know we were going to get a second season. That seemed a foregone conclusion. I believe Jeff posted in the Discord when this first kind of came out, but I believe we may have already known about this, or at least got a hint of it early on, maybe as far back as Celebration. I can't remember, but
I want to say, like even the panels, I could have sworn they'd kind of maybe said, or at least heavily hinted at it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And it's just like some of the, some people were mentioning, the logo of the Mandalorian was mentioned. And I look online, like no one's really making a big thing of it. So I look, it's just the same thing we saw at, the only thing they did was put Star Wars above the Mandalorian thing there, that lettering. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I thought this was all old news, really.
Yeah.
but I could be wrong.
It's exciting to get confirmation of it. I mean, I imagine someone has watched some of the show. Probably
we saw some of it.
Probably a lot of the show.
We saw 7 minutes of it and it was pretty darn good. So,
yeah,
I'm very excited for it. As you know, I'm ready. I'm excited. November the fall.
Right.
Can't get here fast enough, and it'll be here before you know it, right? So,
but it's killing me because we still don't have jack squat about Clone Wars, and I don't know.
That's not no. See, now I figured this out with my daughter a couple of weeks ago, and I meant to mention this on Discord. You guys were talking about it, I believe, and I'd said to her now because she's all excited about the Mandalorian, of course, and the Clone Wars because that's her thing, the Clone Wars. And I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, all right, well, the Mandalorian, if I never, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jonesy, because you would probably remember this, and maybe even our audience, when we were there, they said they would do one episode initially for the launch on the 12th of November, I think it is, or the 11th. And then they would do it the following week would be episode 2, I think. It wasn't going to be a binge thing at first, I don't think. So then I get to thinking, well, if they're going to do that, then obviously I think season 7 of the Clone Wars would probably be in February or March. And just when we were at Celebration and Dave showed us the thing, I want to say they're polishing that up now. So they're not there quite yet. So I'm assuming next year we're going to see it, not this fall, which kind of stinks. But I'd rather them to do it right than not do it right, right? So
that's where,
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's where I've started to lean to, is that we're going to start to see early 2020. And again, I think it's because of exactly what you just said. The Mandalorian, they're going to do their 4. I don't know if they'll be able to get all 8 in before the end of the year, but because there's only 8 episodes, right? So they'll do their 4 for the end of this year. And then before they kick back up with the second half of the season, I'm kind of assuming maybe we'll see Clone Wars in that gap there too, in order to give you a constant stream of new content and a little bit of different content within Star Wars. So that's kind of where I'm leaning a little bit, and that it pains me to say because originally they said fall for Clone Wars, right? But they have gone dead silent. Now, good news is we shouldn't have to wait terribly long before we have the next opportunity for information, because D23 Expo, which is the big Disney kind of celebration for Disney, basically happens in last half of August. So we're only about a month away from that, of understanding if we're going to get another block of information that says, okay, here's the slate for Disney Plus. It's anticipated that Disney Plus is going to be front and center at that expo, and hopefully we're going to learn a lot more there. So keeping hope alive, we're going to get something soon-ish.
Well, it's funny because sometimes Disney, Lucasfilm, they'll throw a curveball out of the blue, even when you think it's going to be at like Celebration or here or there, and all of a sudden it's just in the middle of the week on a Tuesday.
Right. And an earnings call.
In August, and then you're like, oh, geez, okay, we got this new movie or whatever. Not that that's happening or anything like that. I just quickly, before we move on to the Rise of the Resistance there, are you okay with them doing it once a week initially, or would you rather binge it because of Netflix? You know how that's kind of changed the way we did with Stranger Things. We just watched all 8 right away. Is that good, bad? What do you think?
I think for just launching the service, I think a weekly show is probably going to be the better play for them. While I would prefer to have it all dropped and be able to binge it and watch it, I think for a new service that is going to have potentially limited new original content besides what they're already doing on their other services, I think that just makes more sense. I mean, Netflix has got the power of a lot of money and a lot of different things happening all at once because they've been doing this for several years now. So that's true. That's kind of where I'm at with that one. And honestly, I'm still seeing the value in it. It's priced right. You're getting some new content. They're working on more. People, I mean, our Discord server, even for the detractors that have a couple, most of them can't wait to go ahead and throw their money at this and get their, start getting their money's worth, because most of us have, kids. And
True.
This fits it. So that's kind of
my daughter's making me get it anyway, so I have no choice. But anyway, let's get into your territory here. Rise of the Resistance opening dates were revealed. So I'll throw it to you. What's going on with this? Yeah,
a little bit of surprise. When we were in Disney World just a couple weeks ago, we were talking with our minivan driver. Yes, it's a van dressed up like Minnie Mouse. Anywho, and we were speculating when this was going to come out, and there were some rumors that the ride would have potentially some sort of Rise of Skywalker spoiler in it. My guess is that's no longer any of the case. It was just purely speculation, because Walt Disney World is going to open the ride on December 5th of this year. Disneyland won't do it until halfway through January 17th. And the Disney Parks blog did have a bit of a blurb on this, which isn't anything new. It's going to blur the lines between fantasy and reality. On the way to join Rey and General Organa at a secret base, visitors will be captured by a First Order Star Destroyer. With the help of the Resistance heroes, they'll break out, protect the base, and stay ahead of Kylo Ren. So this is a ride that apparently they're going to do a lot of new and different techniques and things to make it immersive, which is also recipe for it to have potentially more problems than like Smuggler's Run has, which is actually done pretty well. But it's good to get this finally, get a date established, get this out before the year for Florida, and get people in line, which they'll be more than happy to be in line, I think, out there, and kind of get people in the seat and see what this is all about. I'm really excited about this ride because they've got walkers, they've got all sorts of stuff that keeps leaking out of it. I'm
curious about it. It could be, like you said, be more of the hassle of a ride, if you will. Right. You know, more parts, more things can go wrong. At least with the Falcon, the Smuggler's Run there, it kind of reminds me of and maybe this is completely wrong because I haven't ridden it, so I can't really judge harsh at all. It's like reminds me of Back to the Future, the ride Universal there, right, where you're kind of in the thing and doing your thing and going through things. And I noticed what I liked about that when they were all walking through it. It didn't feel like you were in a line. Now, of course, some people are going to bust chops there and say, well, it's no one's in the park, but that's not what I'm saying. But when you're walking through in that initial phase, when they were walking through and you go in the cockpit, not the cockpit, but the lounge area with the galley deck. Where you're just sitting around and just looking at TVs and all that stuff. That seems pretty cool. It's like, all right, well, I'm just going to hang out for a few minutes and then you go in and you ride the ride. I thought that was pretty cool, actually. I think that's done pretty well, to be honest. So, I'm looking forward to the hotel, how they're going to do that at Disney World. Yeah. I'm hoping that comes out of the expo too. When is that launching at any? Purely speculative theories around 2021 though. But again, hoping to get a little bit more D23 in August. Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. I guess that's going to do it for the news this week. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say, sir? No, let's talk a little Ahsoka. All right. So a little bit backstory on this will they or won't they segment. This came because, well, it's something I was thinking about doing for Patreon. And, of course, Albert had his stuff to do this week. So I was like, well, I don't want to do the Age of Rebellion stuff because, one, I haven't read the comics. And number two, I want you guys to kind of finish that and do that. So I was like, well, what could we do? Could we do a character breakdown or something else? And I said, well, let's try something different. And will they or won't they is basically that, because let's face it, the Cantina Cast tradition, we all speculate on what they could do or possible things of movies over the years. So why not just do a segment on it and see where it goes from there? And I thought, well, with Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things. And this doesn't necessarily mean it applies to movies. We could do something on TV shows or whatever it may be. This is very adaptable, if you will. So we're going to try this out tonight. If it's a complete disaster, let us know. Tell us that we wasted your time and we'll feel bad and maybe we'll refund your money somehow. But in any case, we're going to give this a try. And I figured the first one to do is Ahsoka, because I think she's a very interesting character in a lot of ways. Initially, so we're going to go through these little things. There's evidence for supporting it, evidence that they won't do it, all that stuff. We'll get into that. But the reason I chose Ahsoka to start with is because, with a lot of things where people poo-poo Disney and, in Lucasfilm these days, the sequel trilogy, me being one of them, to a degree, Ahsoka kind of gives you that hope. And it gives me that hope because initially when we first meet Ahsoka, we're all like, what is going on here, George? What? And some people are like, this is worse than the Jar Jar thing, blah, 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 all these things. So, but it's funny over the last, I don't know, several years or whatever, we've all come to love Ahsoka. I don't think there's many people that don't love Ahsoka. My daughter absolutely adores Ahsoka. She's one of the top characters in Star Wars now. And she's from a cartoon. So to see that evolution of the character, now I'm hoping this happens with like the Disney sequel trilogy and stuff. Maybe I'll feel that way too. Like it grows over time, so to speak. But what are your thoughts initially on Ahsoka where she was and where she is now? And then we'll get into all that other good stuff. What's really interesting about Ahsoka is that we have so much content around Ahsoka. And like you said, we were really given our first real opportunity of seeing a character grow relatively linearly across the entire Clone Wars series. And then to be able to come back and revisit her in Rebels and in her own novel as well. And now get a chance to go and fill in more of the gaps with
Clone Wars, it's really a unique position for a Star Wars character where we get this almost entire arc for her. Now we don't have the total arc because clearly Rebels ended and she's still very capable and an adult. But it's one of the cool things, but also it makes it an interesting conversation about where they would take her, because which story do you want to tell, and how are people going to jump in on this? And we'll talk a little bit about some of that as we go through the show tonight. But you're right. This is a character that no one really knew what to expect going in. She was severely disliked for a while.
A long time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about a long time, but I'm trying to remember how.
2 seasons, probably.
Did it really
maybe
take 2
a
seasons?
season and a half. Maybe a season and a half, I think.
Maybe. She started to have
it's
some
hard
moments.
To tell.
Even,
it was so long ago. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but,
and our opinion is so entirely different now of her than what it was. So it's really hard to go back and watch it. And I watched the Clone Wars movie not terribly long ago, probably just a few months ago. And it wasn't as quote unquote bad as I remember. When I left the theater, I was just like totally confused when I saw it originally in the theater.
I think Roto was the bigger,
stinky.
Bigger, stinky.
Stinky.
I think he was the bigger blunder, if anything, out of that whole thing.
Well,
but
and the nicknames, right? And the Snips and Sky Guy and all that.
Sky Guy, R2E,
R2E. There you go. But but
my daughter says that every now and then. Oh,
quickly that stuff started to fade away and started to mature the character over time. And so, but anyway, so I'm excited that it keeps getting brought up. I don't know where it's getting brought up from though, like how real some of it is. But
I don't either. And well, we'll start with some rumors back in 2017, and this one kind of came out of nowhere. Rosario Dawson just said, "I want to play her,"
right?
And it was like, oh, okay, where did that come from? So people, the wheels turn. And I actually like her as an actress, so I'd be happy with her taking the role and going with it. Of course, there's Ashley, which initially I know I've gone back and forth with our friend Becca over it. I said no initially, but now I've changed my mind, and I'll get into that in a little bit later on when we get into a little bit more. But I don't know. What do you think got this ball rolling with we need an Ahsoka movie? Of course, Disney buys Lucasfilm, and we're getting spinoffs with Rogue One and Solo. So everyone's like, all right. And the rumor with Boba Fett. So why not Ahsoka? Because we all love her, which is probably why we won't get one. That's probably what the reason is. But I don't know why. Where do you think this comes from? Well, why? I
think it's a couple of different things, right? So Ahsoka is beloved. I mean, she is cherished in the Star Wars community pretty much. It seems universally, at least to me. It seems like you said, there's no one that seems to want to say anything dramatic about her or really negative. And people,
I think even Ashley helps though.
Oh, no, Ashley, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Ashley is a big part of that because she reveres the character so much. Albert and I talked about this, and after the Clone Wars panel and all of that too, of how the cast is really just a family, and they all, really love what they're doing. But I think a more business sense, we also know that Disney wants to push more diverse characters, right? We want to see more female leads. We want to see strong female leads, and Ahsoka has evolved into a very strong character. Not just strong female character, just a strong character. With a tremendous story behind her and really meaningful plot points within Clone Wars and within Rebels. And she just has an interesting story, but it all kind of fits, right? You have this passionate fan base about her. You have, it fits your, I use this very lightly so people don't go crazy, but it kind of fits your agenda, right? I mean, it fits your business agenda of what Disney is doing. And they're not shy about it, but you can marry those two really well with this character in this franchise. And Dave Filoni, of course, I mean, he loves writing this character. This is the one character, I think, if you look at anything that Dave Filoni has, this one character, he probably has more control over than anything else that he does. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was some contractual thing in there that he is the one that has to improve anything related to Ahsoka. It seems that way
because anytime she's brought in, like with the novel, anything like that, he's kind of consulting what's going on with that, whatever the medium may be, a book or whatever it is. He's always involved. And, of course, I think adding the fuel to the fire to this, will they do this, is now that Dave, and I've said this before, I think Dave has earned a shot to direct a movie or something, and here he is directing a season of The Mandalorian, which is, in my mind, it's like Kathleen Kennedy saying, all right, we're going to get you ready to take that next leap into the live action stuff. And maybe we'll get there with a movie, with an Ahsoka movie. That's my interpretation of the thing. Now, I don't know anything other than me speculating there, so don't think it's true or the gospel or anything like that. That's just my thinking. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think this is him directing an episode or 2 episodes, wherever it might end up being. I think it's just 1, but it's a great way to get his feet wet in the live action because it's a completely different skill set. We've talked a little bit about that too, and him and John's partnership and what they've been able to learn from one another. Exactly.
That chemistry there and how they were talking kind of, and I remember
that's part of that panel.
When that was happening, I'm like, yeah, I can see them kind of learning from each other and going forward, and this will help Dave go, into the live action stuff. And that kind of just added that in my mind, like, all right, this is going to happen at some point. Dave will have the helm of a live action movie or even a show, whatever it may be. I don't know, but I'm glad he's behind the camera. We're curious to see how he does.
So let me ask you a question, Mike.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is Ahsoka this generation's Luke Skywalker?
Yes. Yeah. I would. Yeah. You know why? It's funny. You go back, listen to old episodes of the show, and I think when we were getting into the character, the dissection of the one where she's on the run there, the whole fugitive version of that.
Right.
I said, her character reminds me of a lot like Luke. And I still see those parallels of a young Luke Skywalker and her, and the journey that they went through is very similar. And I think I would say, yeah, definitely, especially with my daughter. My daughter gravitates more to Ahsoka than Rey, which is surprising because she loves Rey, but she loves Ahsoka more than anything. Like that's her girl.
Right. And, and the timings are a little staggered here. So I'm not saying it's the same generation.
No.
People are definitely growing up with Rey and those characters now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think from just what you have, what you have end to end right now, Ahsoka, I agree with you completely. I think that the way that you and I feel about Luke Skywalker, you see kids today, and you see the merchandise with Ahsoka on it, and you see how they still gravitate, even as she's grown up. They still relate to her because they remember all of those stories, and they were able to grow up with her, much like I imagine Morgan did, your daughter. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
And being able to equate to that and really latch on to that character and have that mean so much with the kind of guidance of your Anakins and your Obi-Wans, you get this really great blend of it all at the same time in the Clone Wars.
Well, with the Clone Wars, it was all of them working off of each other. Rex, she loves Rex. Padme, that whole dynamic was great. And Ahsoka shined, even Ventress as well. So, I would say, yeah, Ahsoka's probably, she's very Luke Skywalker in my mind, at least. Others may disagree, and that's fine. I get that. That's no big deal. I guess the other question is this something the fans want? And I would say yes. But the caveat to that is, and I guess this is where it'll bleed into the evidence against, so to speak, is this something that we should get? Because what story are we going to tell, right? We've got a lot on her. Like, there's a lot in the Clone Wars. There's Rebels. There's a good, what's going on there. Of course, we got the novel as well that kind of fills in a lot of gaps. So where are we going to go with this story? Of course, you got Sabine and her off to find Ezra, which would be interesting. I don't know if you could do would a live action be worthy of that, or it would be more of an animated thing. I don't know. It's curious how that would go. I had this whole thing planned in my head. Speaking of headcanon, we always laugh about our headcanon. I had this whole thing because she survived in Rebels, and I wanted her to die only for the sake of Vader's character development, her character development, and Luke's, because I wanted that whole line that Obi-Wan says, he's more machine now than twisted and evil and all that stuff. I wanted the sense of, if you'd never seen, all that other stuff, and you saw Ahsoka get killed by Vader first, and then you see Luke talking to Obi-Wan, and it'd be like, oh, there's real danger here. He killed his own Padawan, so to speak. So I had that whole thing, but of course she survived, and that's great. I'm glad. I initially had a problem with it, but I don't now, because she's such a good character. I'm kind of glad she survived. But she's one in the Force. She's kind of in this middle area like the father, so I love that even more. I would love to see her meet up with Luke and Leia and go from there. Maybe her and Luke having these philosophical discussions on the Force, and maybe this plays into why he left it all behind because he talked to Ahsoka, something like that. I don't know. The interesting things going on in my head, I guess. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think when you start drifting towards what might be working against it, and the story is really the important part, I think, to take into consideration. We know a lot already. In order for us to pick up and tell a new story or to pick up the story where it left off and continue it, you're asking a lot of people going into the theater fresh that don't have a lot of background in order to you have to get them up to speed somehow. Now, you have a ton of content that they could go watch, but how are you going to get them up to speed if they choose not to? I mean, that's how you get really, I mean, the fans can support these movies. Make no mistake. Fans can support these movies.
Solo's a good indication of that because Solo was good and performed poorly considering financially, but overall it was good. It was a lot of fan service in that movie is what I was trying to say. My point there. It was like, You could, looking back at it now with 2020 hindsight here, you could say, well, it was a lot of fan service, so to speak, with what was in the movie where fans, like casual fans sitting there and Darth Maul shows up, they're like, what? Huh? Right. Well, we all know what the heck that means and all these other things, you know what I mean? So I think they can pull it off. Yeah, go ahead.
And that was a good surprise, right? Those are the ones where you can, all of the fan service you can say makes sense because these things had to happen at some point, right?
Yeah.
And people can pull from that because it's a character you've known forever. But that's one of the challenges is that there is a mass group of people who have no idea who this character is and what that stories look like and why people care. Now, you write a good story, you direct a good story, you have engaging actors and all those good things. You can bring people to the yard. You know, you can make a movie out of, unknown characters. I mean, this happens all the time, right? We see big movies come out of nowhere that seemingly surprise you, right? No one expected like Iron Man to do all that well when it first came out. There were some people that were excited about it, but no one had made a really good comic book movie, really ever or not consistently, right?
Well, Batman, you got Batman.
Well, we had a few, but not in the like a lighthearted kind of. Not the end is coming.
Tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
I got you.
But so that's where that's the challenge, right? I think that's where you get the headwinds on a project like this is what does that story look like? And how do you make sure you get everybody involved from a potential fan perspective and get people in the seats at the theater so that you don't have a disappointment like you could equate to Solo. If Solo's budget was better and it didn't have all the drama with it, people probably wouldn't have been so hard on it, I think too. I mean, there was a lot of other things going on, you could argue, but so would you have all that now? Maybe not, because maybe Disney is getting a better plan together. But I don't think this is something that's going to go and hit like the Benioff and Weiss trilogy that we're going to get here in a few years. It doesn't seem to make sense to go that route because I think they want to try some different things with some of those. You have writers who have been doing this for a while. And again, it's Filoni's project. So if Mandalorian goes well, if Filoni has a story to tell, but I'm kind of with you though. I think this has got to be, if you're going to do it, you got to do a Sabine and Ahsoka story.
Ezra.
Searching for Ezra, something like that. Yeah. I like the idea of Luke kind of coming in. It would give us an idea of where Luke is at in some of this stuff, especially as they get older, assuming this trek would take many years or whatever it looks like for Ezra. But I'm with you. That feels more like it should be kind of in the animated realm. You revisit Rebels like you did with Clone Wars. You borrowed from Clone Wars to make Rebels in a lot of cases. So why would you break that? Because that's where your fan base is at. So to me, that's like, okay, is this better as a mini series or something, or a different, short run type of show like Rebels, to where you do that and you do that on Disney Plus and you
is it a mini series?
You do more content that way.
Yeah, which I had no problem if they did such a thing. I'm for that as well. So, I mean, the other thing is, okay, I think where people say, all right, well, you've had Saw show up in multiple things, right? You had him in Rogue One, then you have him in the video game here. So why not Ahsoka? Why? She's more beloved than Saw is. I mean, I like Saw, but he's not as beloved as Ahsoka here. So why isn't she showing? Like I even think about it too, like with the game, the Fallen, the Jedi Order there. I'm like, why isn't it her? Like, why is she not getting involved with this and the Jedi there. So
and we don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's true. We don't.
She might be an Easter egg or something like that.
Which would be now. Here's the other thing. So, all right, if they're not going to do the movie because based on story wise, and we've gotten to that conclusion so far, is that it's first if they're going to tell it, it's got to make sense. And the one story that makes sense with Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka is more animated form. That makes a lot more sense than, and of course you could bring Luke in and you don't have to get Mark Hamill involved and all that other stuff, right. that whole can of worms, right? So animated makes sense. Now, what might work going forward is cameos in like The Mandalorian with Sabine and everything. You could have cameos like Saw, maybe for a couple of episodes. And if that's the case, okay, who would you want her to play? We just mentioned Rosario Dawson, Ashley Eckstein, which, and again, I'd said to our friend Becca, I said, no, I don't think, first off, Ashley is too short. That was my argument, really, was that Ashley's too short, and Ahsoka's kind of tall now. And I said, Ashley's actually, I think, younger than the Ahsoka we see, that by the time we get to, the sequel trilogy, she'd be much older. So how is that going to work? And then I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. I was going back and forth with Becca in an email, and I'm like, wait a minute. If they did all this stuff with Snoke with the mocap and with K2 with the mocap stuff, well, why couldn't you put Ashley in that and do that? I mean, because I know Ashley's physically fit. She's done stuff with in Orlando. She did some exercising stuff and she's been working out and doing all those things. So it's not like she can't physically do it. For some reason, I was stuck on her height and her age because I think Ahsoka was older at this point where I'm imagining we're going to go, because you can't really go back, I don't think. But with the mocap stuff and everything, I mean, it kind of works. So you can put her in that suit and, you do, because you got to put those horns on, right? The Takutan horn things and the tentacle things and all that other stuff. And yes, thank you. I knew I was doing that. People are going to yell at me for that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? If you couldn't get Ashley or Rosario, who could play, or what do you think? What do you think about all that?
I can't even speculate who they would do. But you're right. Yeah. It's difficult to imagine anybody else voicing the character. I mean, it really is, because it's just the way that, which I love listening to her talk about it. And they did this at the panel too, at Celebration Chicago, is that she had to figure out what the voice of Ahsoka was. And it's very subtle. I mean, the different ages and the different maturity level. And, she had done a more mature Ahsoka for so long, to come back to a slightly unsure, but somewhat still pretty confident character. And, very different than what they started the show with. But there are subtleties in all of that. And it's difficult for someone else to step into that and really do it unless you're trying to take the character in a different direction. And I'm with you. You could do a lot of different things. If you're doing animated, you have the world is kind of open to you. I mean, we talked about Lion King earlier. Lion King only has one shot in the entire thing that's actually live action, but everyone calls that live action. That entire movie is CGI, folks. Every single thing except one shot is CGI in that movie, but you would never know. So you can do a lot of different things with some of this stuff. So you can put her in a mocap. We've seen it with Ray Park. He did mocap as well.
That too, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, you can do it. And I think here's the thing. All right, so if we're going to do live act, I think I would be more willing to say, all right, I don't mind Ahsoka being in just animation, because in one aspect, okay, if we have Rosario Dawson do it, okay, that's good. But Ahsoka to all of us is Ashley. So it's going to seem weird. Now, don't get me wrong. They've had someone play Han Solo. They've had, they've changed, Ewan McGregor played Obi-Wan. They've changed things up. But Ahsoka and Ashley are one and the same. It's almost like Lando. It's Billy D. I don't know if they could do it. I don't know if it would feel right or whatever. I'd rather not have a live action or her popping up in cameos. Although I would love this, unless she's not speaking. If she speaks, it better be Ashley. But I don't know. I think maybe sometimes it's better to leave it alone. But again, it comes back to the story for me. What story do you have to tell with her? What's left to tell? I know there's some stuff that Dave has, and he wants to go there at some point. So I'm sure we're going to find out at some point in the next 10 years. But as it stands for now, I mean, we have all those things. You know what I mean? So anyway, well, let's get into what do you think the odds of a movie being made? I'll ask you that first.
Of like a live action movie?
Yeah, a live action movie of just Ahsoka. It's her thing. She's the main protagonist. That's going to happen What's the odds of that?
Well, if we're saying within the next 5 years, unfortunately, I'm going to say very, very bad odds, like not good at all, like almost next to zero. I mean, as much as it pains me to say that, because I really do like the character and would like to see how they pull that off, I just don't see it. I mean, we don't see it in the movie slate today. We're not getting any really concrete idea. I mean, it seems like they're just throwing everything against the wall and see what sticks story-wise.
Yeah.
And honestly, the ones that they want to flirt with are going to be the ones that are the most recognizable across even the very, very casual fans, right? The characters that we've known for decades rather than for a decade. And that's unfortunate, but again, you have other ways you can continue to explore the character and develop the stories that we know and continue the stories that we love. And I think that can still be, from a company bottom line perspective, I think that can still be beneficial to Disney and Lucasfilm to be able to do that. Do you disagree with some of that?
No, I definitely, for a live action movie thing in the theater, I'm going to be like a 5% chance of that even happening in the next 5 to 10 years. You never know, maybe 20, 30 years down the line, like, all right, let's just do it. But I think the possibility, if you're going to do it, I think it would be more of a movie on Disney Plus, I think, if anything.
Yeah.
And I'll give that like a 10% chance of happening. I think the possibility of a cameo is probably 50% in a video game, or most likely a video game or something like that, where we get excited. But overall, I see her just staying in animation. And I know that kind of pains me in a way, because the character, she deserves to be in a live action thing. If you ask me, could they do it? Probably, because I think they could do. Again, Solo's my argument here is where it's fan service and screw the casuals, so to speak. It'll kind of work and you'll still make money and all that other stuff. So that's kind of my point, is where they should be. But they don't look really good overall, I don't think. So
I mean, I would even love a dedicated, Star Wars Ahsoka, like a show or a short run miniseries, and do something with there. One of the things that make it challenging, though, is that, man, we have filled in a lot of the gaps in some of this stuff. And the more you flirt with it, the more you can
water it down.
Well, the more you can turn people off too of, well, I understood it. Albert and I talked about it with the comic book with Tarkin, right? You see the scene in A New Hope where they destroy Alderaan, and then you read the comic now and you're like, you're flirting with these things. You're flirting with changing the tone, even just a little bit. And it can make people, even the hardcore, most dedicated, truest fans that will never leave your side, it can make them hesitate for just a moment. And that's, I don't want to say that's dangerous, but it's a really fine line to play. And there are a lot of people who will just tip over that line really, really quickly. So it's difficult to try to flirt with that and then to do it successfully.
Well, I've said, and we said this with our Rogue One review, I liked it. However, that ending with Vader doing the guitar solo stance where he's watching Leia take off with I had a problem with that, because it goes back to the line that he says to her. There were several transmissions beamed to the ship, blah, 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 blah. It works in the movie, but it kind of, and I've always said you're flirting with canon that you shouldn't flirt with. You're getting very loosey-goosey, and maybe you should back off a bit. And maybe they are now. So to your point, maybe there's a point where you say, we'd love to do it. It's great. Sounds good on paper. But then again, story-wise, maybe we shouldn't do it. But, Ahsoka definitely will show up somewhere at some point in something. So, I mean, there'll be plenty of Ahsoka stories to come, especially with Sabine and all Ezra and all that stuff, which is interesting stuff. And honestly, I want to hear those stories.
That's a story I got way more interested in Sabine than I ever really thought I would. I mean, she was a really cool character anyway, but that's another character that there's more space, I think, to explore with her a little bit, like across all of her history. And you have some really interesting flexibility there. And you have a character that you really don't have to know a lot about, depending on where you pick her up at. And so when I think about what's a different character that you could take and do some different things with, and kind of low risk, potentially higher reward, like Sabine kind of steps more into that route than maybe an Ahsoka, who's already well established, well loved, tons of information around.
I personally, I think Sabine shows up in The Mandalorian at some point.
I think so as well. Yeah.
And I think you might even get Ahsoka in that one. If anything, that's where it's going to happen, especially when Dave's directing that might happen, but we'll leave it at that. So, audience, that's going to do it for this segment for now. If you liked it, let us know. If you hated it, please direct everything to me, or actually direct it to Albert. Yeah, Albert, because he didn't make this show.
It's
so,
his fault.
yes, it's all Albert's fault. So, he usually blames me, so I'll blame him. It works out well. So, hopefully you guys liked it. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation, the back and forth. We got Obi-Wan planned if this works out. Of course, whoever else you want to throw in there or whatever. So, but anyway. We'll get into the shout-outs, sir. I guess this is near the end of the show. What do we got for shout-outs? What's going on here?
Yeah, the last couple of weeks, we've had some reviews and emails and things like that. So we had a 5-star review from FinFan 00013. Albert and Jonesy have more chemistry than Han and Chewie. Thanks for that. This is a great podcast that will explore all your Star Wars needs, from reviews of all forms of Star Wars media, character dissections, and just general Star Wars news. Best part of all is all points of view are welcome, and discussion is welcome from everyone on the Cantina Cast Discord channel. So thanks for plugging the Discord channel. If you
Excuse me, I got something in my eyes. I got to get that out of my eyes. I'm a proud papa of Albert and Jonesy. I'm very proud of the guys. But anyway.
So he finishes up, if you love Star Wars, give it a listen. So, man, we really do appreciate the kind words. We also got an amazing...
Wait a minute. FinFan,
yeah.
FinFan 13.
Only one N, though. I think he's a Dolphins fan.
Well, then I love this guy already. He's a smart man, a fellow Dolphin fan. If this is true, if not, we're gonna have a problem, fan. But I'm sure
just established your own headcanon. You're good to go.
Yeah, there we go. It works. I got a lot of headcanon. So, but anyway, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. I get excited when I see another Dolphin fan. But go continue.
We got an amazing email from Terrence Fluhart, and really, this is really a testament to Albert. It was I won't read it. It was a little bit long, but. Basically, he joined by listening to The Basement first with Albert. And when he got through that and strongly told Albert that he needs to get his butt in gear and do more, he started...
Albert.
I know, right? Get in gear, buddy. He started listening.
I'm not one to talk because, Manny Faces hasn't been finished yet. But anyway, we'll move on to that.
But so he started listening to the Cantina Cast. And so he started listening to you back in the day, and then he started listening to us and had a ton of amazing things. And he wants to start exploring the rest of the Earglue Media content as well. And it just kind of opened his eyes to Star Wars again, which we've heard a couple of people like Stephanie and others who have said that it was just kind of this latent spark, and we're so excited to have everyone there. So it was it meant a lot to Albert. I know that much. I think he was going to respond to him directly because it was kind of a nice pick me up for him. But Terrence, thanks for listening, and we really appreciate you being around. Other folks that were just, man, they're always supporting us. Greg over at the Rebel Base Card, he gave us a lot of 4th of July wishes, and he's always tagging us and showing support. So if you guys are into Star Wars card collecting, go look up Rebel Base Card. He's always posting cool pictures and trading cards, and really, really awesome, nice guy too. And then
absolutely, yeah.
And then we got a special, and we got to meet him in Chicago too, which was really fantastic. And then finally, at Chat Nights over on Instagram, made a TV clip, and even in his podcast that he started doing, referenced that the Cantina Cast was one of the very first ones that he ever found, and wanted to just kind of get into Star Wars. But it really just opened this latent spark of something that he wanted to do, wanted to start creatively exploring something different. And Mike, I think that's a huge testament to you, because this is previous to Albert and my times here. So wanted to give him a special shout out, because he mentioned us in 2 different ways and seems like a really cool guy. And it was really humbling to hear that, and that he continues listening to the show. So I wanted to give him a shout out as well.
That actually picked my spirits up when I saw that whole thing. That was pretty cool, because I was in the dumps that day. It was a rotten day at work, and that picked me up. So thank you very much, guys. Check him out, and that was pretty cool. It was very. I don't always get emotional, but I get a little emotional there. But in any case, continue, sir. Before I gotta get this tear out of my eye.
I know, right? So, and everybody's fantastic, of course, on Discord. We've got a lot of great people over there. We do get a lot of comments on social media. Thank you to everyone. You guys, when you leave comments or reviews, or you just come and engage with us in the variety of ways, it really does mean a lot to us. And like Mike said, it does pick us up whenever we're having a bit of a tough day, or you're trying to figure out what do we do next. So really appreciate everyone. You guys really do help make the world go round for us. So thank you so much. All right.
Absolutely. Yes. So what do we got next?
Yeah, we plugged Patreon earlier. Albert and I did a special Stolen Valor, I think was the name of the issue.
I love the title of that one too. That was perfect for that whole thing. That was just a bizarre comic. But anyway, continue, sir.
It was, yeah. So patreon.com/thecantinacast. If you want to go check out our Patreon, we are trying to get more consistent with that. Thank you guys for supporting the show again.
There could be a chance CAD's coming back soon. Could be.
Cantina Cast. For those that don't know, CAD is Cantina After Dark. It's where usually the three of us get together, and it's a little more no holds barred. It's nothing too risque.
The adult version of the Cantina Cast, so to speak, if you will.
It's that darker corner in the cantina every once in a while.
Yeah, it's like when you were younger, you're in your teens and you were looking for porn and the TV was scrambled and you kind of just got to watch, right? It's kind of like that. That's the best description.
We had been family friendly for so long. Mike comes back for one episode and has ruined it.
I know. See, I ruined everything. This is why I don't host the show anymore. So,
but no, it's a little more, it's a little more free form episode. There's not always a lot of stuff pre-planned. We may have some ideas.
Heck, we don't even have an intro to it or an outro.
Yeah, we just kind of come in. But it's a lot of fun. It's very casual. It's kind of like just sitting around with your friends, and it's kind of like you're there. So I always liked it when we did it really early on, and I'm excited to get that going again.
Yes.
All right. Last but not least,
can't wait.
Over on Earglue Media, we wanted to plug the Film Appraisers. We're in the month of July. It is a Quentin Tarantino month. This is a family friendly podcast, even though they're doing Quentin Tarantino, just to make sure. But they're doing a special giveaway of a special edition copy of Birth, Movies, and Death. And this is all in anticipation of the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood show that they're going to do that is going to premiere on August 8th. So if you want to get in on the giveaway and listen to a really fun show, Joe and Josh have a variety of guests that come in each week. Go follow.
I was their last guest. So
you were the last one. What'd you do last time?
The Reservoir Dogs is what I had.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, I love that movie. And it was fun to do. It was a lot of fun. It's funny how you take a violent and swearing type of movie and you do it on a family-friendly show and you kind of make it work. It's funny how it worked out. But it was a great conversation. Definitely check it out. I had a lot of fun. They're fun to talk to. It's a good time. So, but anyway, so continue. Sir.
Again, the Film Appraisers, you can find them all your favorite podcatchers. I would go find them on Instagram at Film Appraisers or on Twitter at F Appraisers. To learn how to join their giveaway, all you have to do is basically follow them. And then if you leave them a review after listening to a show, I think you get another entry. So go check out Joe and Josh and I guess Mike on the show too. And a number of guys. Yes. And I think I might even be on there next month. And I know Albert's been on there too.
Oh, of course. Well, when I just looking at this Birth, Movies, and Death, I just thought, is that Albert's autobiography? Because that seems fitting for him. But anyway, I guess that's it for tonight. What do we got next week? Checking in on Albert's Speedo adventures. What are we doing next week? Anything?
Yeah.
Or are we going back to Age of Rebellion, or is it going to be me coming in and causing trouble again? I don't know. We'll find out, right?
It's a mystery bag, folks. I think, if Albert's back, we'll probably get back into the comics, but who knows if you guys give us some great things. Oh, the other thing we need from people is we need to start getting some listener questions. So we want to do another Q&A show. So if you got burning questions for us, we'll have all of in the show description. We'll have all of the ways of getting in contact with us. So let's get those rolling in so we can do one of those here in a few weeks too. That'd be fun.
Send your questions in to drive Albert and Jonesy crazy. It'll be fun. I guess that's going to do it for this week. Anything left to say, sir?
No, man, let's shut this down before you ruin it again.
Yes, I've ruined this several times already. All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.